All right, welcome back to Innate Life Reclamation. I'm here with one of my best friends, an amazing chiropractor and business partner, and someone I've gotten to watch step from student to chiro to mother to leader. And we're going to have a conversation today about the evolution of really motherhood and stepping into the changing season of life when you have a baby coming and then the baby comes, which is not talked about probably often enough in our lives before you start to have the idea of having a child. I know for me, it was like, I don't think it really sunk into my mind until I actually was holding my baby, what was about to happen, which I don't know if that felt true for you, but um, so anyways, we're going to open up this conversation. This is Dr. Amanda Blonigen, and we're going to talk about motherhood and some of the lessons. Specifically, Amanda just had another baby. So Amanda, first of all, you can introduce yourself, tell a little background, and then maybe just jump right in and talking a little bit about your transition from woman without children to, oh my gosh, people rely on me every single day.
Yes.
Mhm.
I feel like so I was blessed to go to a birth actually prior to my own birth. One of my chiropractic friends in school had a baby and I got to be at her birth. And I think for me, that was like a pivotal moment in yes, I know I want to be a mom, but also I knew how I wanted to birth my babies after
Mm.
being there. So that I always carried with me, and I always was so grateful for that experience because I watched her deliver a baby naturally, and I was just like immersed into it can be done naturally. You can have the birth that you've desired. Um, and just the support system that she had around it, I would just remember being like, I want this for myself now.
Right.
So going through pregnancies, like I definitely had a different light of, looking up to Lona and then being at another birth and just witnessing like how pregnancy is such a great thing and can be a great experience and that you get to take power in your own pregnancy.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a medical thing to be managed. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And you can like you don't hear enough good stories about
Mhm.
pregnancy and birth. So I feel like I
Yeah.
really during that period tried to surround myself with listening to positive things about birth and being pregnant, and really worked on the mindset of what do I want that to look like.
Mhm. Yep.
And then
And also allowing yourself to know that you're not the one controlling it all, right?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that was the lesson I
Yeah.
got to learn
Yeah.
in it is so I went to like 42 weeks pregnant with my first, and the experience of just allowing and letting go of the timeline. And, there was something I knew that like the due date didn't matter
Mhm.
educatedly,
Like
but
you had
then
heard that babies can go long.
yes,
Yes.
but then when you're actually in it, you just, I was starting at that point to feel a little uncomfortable. I was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I
Mhm.
just realized like it wasn't me. It was the whole process that just had
Can
to
I tell a funny story from that
unravel.
part?
Yeah.
Like Amanda, I didn't realize how much of a planner you really were, but I knew that like we were in for it a little bit when I knew you had already selected like what his birthstone and like the date of when, like loose date. I'm like, oh, this could go.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might not go like
I
that.
thought we were like we had a middle of the month due date, so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it'll for sure be a
Yeah.
February baby, and it was
Yeah.
very close.
To not being a February baby.
Yes.
Which, any parent that has younger, has gone through this knows like your children sort of baptize you into like, wait, you thought you were in charge and then
Yes.
another thing's coming, right? And birth is one of those first experiences for us where it's like, I am not
Mhm.
in control. And it's especially if you want to do it naturally, there is a
Mhm.
total surrendering to the timeline, to
Yes.
like, my body is not just for me anymore,
Mhm.
to then when is labor going to happen?
Right.
Yeah.
So all of my like learnings before this had already been like very educated mind, and I feel like it wasn't until I like truly shifted out of that into like, okay, I'm just going to allow this. And the funny part of that is nothing about what I planned actually happened for his birth. I had this beautiful birth room all set up, and I didn't even set foot in it because he came in less than 3 hours, and my husband delivered him, which again wasn't the plan. And so quickly was baptized into I don't get to control this. And here I am with a newborn, and
It
yeah, it
didn't go as
didn't
planned.
go as planned. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is
But
a little bit of shell shock for a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I wasn't in my body again for months.
Mhm.
And part of that was also I'm very social and like
Mhm.
to make sure that everyone feels loved. And so I think I didn't take the time to like slow down to be with him. I was just like, oh, I'm going to bring him everywhere. And I did that. And then, I think months later, I realized, well, I had a miscarriage.
Mm.
And I think that was when I really was like, I need to slow down.
Right. Your body and more than your body was showing you that,
Yeah.
which is a blessing that you saw that it was a message for you
Mhm.
as well, even
Yeah.
though it's so challenging, right? And I think that Amanda has wisdom in just, first of all, voicing that, because we don't talk about that either,
Mhm.
and that we can see these gifts that sometimes come through immense pain and struggle, but are also teaching us, right? And it's not to discredit what happened. It's more
Right.
just like, okay, well, if I trust that my body is powerful enough to create life and bring it through, as you had just witnessed,
Yeah.
then my body also knows timing and how to show me things,
Mhm.
right? And I
Yeah.
think that's a gift that for both of us, chiropractic and its wisdom of listening to um the cues. Sometimes our body's yelling, sometimes it's whispering, sometimes our emotions are yelling, sometimes they're
Yeah.
whispering, and just being curious about our bodies first. So as witnessing you during especially her first son's birth, I think, it was trying to also mirror to you, she is such a giver, and that some of what she got to give to herself was the permission to not overgive
Yeah.
anymore. And have just different boundaries than maybe worked before becoming a mother, which I think most of us have ways life works up until that point, and then
Yeah.
we quickly figure out we either need more support or we need different things for support.
Mhm.
We, reserve the right to keep auditing that, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the shift of choosing, right? Like you get the choice of, how much energy you give to stuff. And, instead of give, 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 there has to be a receive because, you always hear like a mother can't serve if you're not well taking care of yourself. And
Mhm.
it's really hard sometimes to honor that. And
Right.
unfortunately, like life will hit you or show you things if you aren't keeping up with that. So
Right.
that's definitely just been a lesson as continuing to grow businesses and now my second baby and again just another layer of navigating like what is important now
Mhm.
and what can wait till later, what can I delegate to other people,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, that's great advice. And
Hmm.
and probably true at all stages of life, not just when we're having kids, right?
Yeah.
That we keep shedding different elements of ourselves that don't fit anymore for various reasons. Either we don't value it the same way we used to, or our
Hmm.
identity is changing, or there's more demands that require focus. And I know, even just learning how, I think many times we make up excuses for prioritizing ourselves in, doesn't mean that we have to be prioritized more than someone else, just at least factored in.
Hmm.
And sometimes that is literally finding 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Or I know you said the other day, like, I just needed a minute,
Yeah.
and making that happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think, again, yeah, like you said, it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going for an hour massage. It might
Mhm.
just be like, hey, I need to go read a book or have some quiet time for 3 minutes. That's
Mhm.
it, to just reset. But I think surrounding yourself with people that see that and
Mhm.
recognize that and can reflect that. Lona's always reflected things back to me of like, hey, go for a walk. Like,
Mhm.
you need this. And I think having the cheerleaders in that capacity
Right.
too, that can guide you into taking time for yourself and, nurturing you as a mother and
Mhm.
as that continues to evolve as well.
Mhm. Amanda, you said something great. I think number one, seeing a birth that was in an
Mhm.
empowered birth where like someone had a desire to have a natural birth and fulfilled that desire, even if it didn't look exactly the way. And then you
Yeah.
yourself had the natural birth, the home birth, again, looked different than you
Mhm.
thought, which I think, there's this element, and this is when Amanda said, like, I've been had an educated mind about this. Like, what I explain, and I'll use this analogy a lot, is, birth is a great example of that. We can think we know what a birth is like, even watch a birth, and we know more than if we read a textbook, of course, right? But then you have a birth, like you actually go through that experience, you're like, oh, whoa, that was like, that was it. That was like, you can't unlearn that. Just like,
Mhm.
for most of us, positive or negative, that experience is wired into our system. And you're forever changed from that because your system that's like one of those core experiences, right? So, I think much of our life, if we do that, where we give ourselves experiences where they're stacking our chips to actually even believe that certain things are possible. This could be about birth. This could be about nursing. This could be about having a vaginal birth after a C-section. This could be about, homeschooling if you're choosing to do that. Like there's so many things that we stack beliefs around. Maybe they're not even our own beliefs. They came from, mothers, grandmothers, what have you, about the capabilities of your body. It's like, watch what you're believing and watch what you're saying, because you're likely forecasting your outcome. Right?
Yeah. And like watch who you surround yourself with too, because there's been so many choices that, my husband and I have chose for our children right now. And sometimes I feel myself like shrinking, like, oh, I don't want to tell them that we're co-sleeping with two babies and I'm still nursing them both. And then I'm like, what? Like I'm choosing this because I think is the best thing for my kids right now. And they're thriving and doing well. And so are we, like, so am I. So like, what does it really matter if they know that we're doing that or not? So, I think sometimes we talk ourselves out of like, oh, no one, other people aren't doing this, so I shouldn't tell people. But
Right.
like everything, I have so much respect for any mother now that they're just making the best choices they can in that moment. And it might change tomorrow. And giving yourself permission to just go with that of like, oh, wait, this isn't working anymore. I'm going to step into something new.
Right. And for each child, what worked before may not be the thing that works the next time, which again is like the process of who you get to become in the surrendering of like the humility you must have in having children and figuring out the different stages. I think all of us just kind of laugh as you keep going to the next stage because you're like, oh, but I just sort of figured this one out and we're on to the next thing, right? So yes, a tribe of mothers that extend grace is very helpful. And if that's
So
not your
helpful.
own lineage, like there are lots of wonderful women that would love to help you in a graceful way. I know for me, my midwife was one of those people that, I don't talk to her much now, but during that season where I had babies and was nursing, and like her confidence that I would be okay and that I would get this. I tell every mother that allows me to say this to you is like, it gets better. It gets easier. Just gotta keep going one day at a time during this first 2 months, because that's, for me anyways, the period where I was like, it would have been really easy for me to give up if I didn't have someone kind of propping me up with like, you'll figure this out. The baby's going to figure this out. Everybody's meant to do this. You can do it. Doesn't mean you have to, but you can, because it's hard. And a lot of these things are hard. But they're worthwhile if that's something you desire. So to not give up early either on some of these dreams from a holistic standpoint, I think you just, again, to Amanda's point, find those that can help you find more confidence with it.
Yeah. And no, like she said, every baby is different. I think we have this like idea of like, okay, it went this way the first time, it's going to go like this the second time. And then we place thoughts and fears and all these other things in our mind. And I remember, so I just birthed my second baby. And I remember one thing I was fearful of was my 2-year-old, like, how was he going to respond? And I think I was so fearful of it that it was a rough transition. And it maybe could have went smoother if I wasn't so like, he's my baby. Is he gonna be okay?
Yeah.
And that, is just a learning curve of like like what you keep thinking about is going to create a pattern for you. So if you can choose to focus on something else or bring light to it or just acknowledge like it might be a struggle and we're gonna learn and move, then we're all able to adapt through it.
Yep. Yeah. Very good advice. So learning to trust the wisdom of your body, that's in every one of us, your baby included. It doesn't stop when they're born. They knew what to do to put their eyes and ears in the right places, and that keeps going. Getting a great support system, and sometimes that is in your own family, and sometimes it's in friends, sometimes it's in providers, sometimes it's probably online. Like there's just many ways that support might come. It may come from a course you take, because I think there's a lot of good courses out there too, teaching you about some of these ideas of kind of going back to what is natural. And then, also knowing that you're going to turn a page into a new, with each child, I think you turn a page into a new version of yourself, which is the reward sort of into it, is you become a lot more dynamic and full of wisdom, I think, if you allow it to make you adaptable instead of breakable.
Yeah.
It can feel overwhelming for sure.
And I think if you can come back to the light every day, like there's going to be hard days, but those hard days, they go fast and then you
Right.
get through them. So if you can every day just end with like, okay, you know what?
Grateful to hold my baby.
Yeah.
Or,
And the little thing that is like, yes, I'm going to hold on to that for the next day.
Yep, that's really good advice. And, you know, even things like I'm not sleeping, right? Like, the body makes energy in many ways other than sleep too. And so sometimes it's affirming that, like, isn't it miraculous how I can exist with little sleep? And instead of it being like so hard because we're telling ourselves how tired we are, because there is periods of motherhood that is like, I better get some sunshine because I haven't gotten sleep in days that have been quality sleep anyways. And my other piece of advice would be, if your baby's sleeping, you should be too. It doesn't.
And Lona has given that to me many times.
Yeah, like if there's any capacity for you to take a nap when the baby is sleeping, please do it. Yeah. Because most of what we need is more rest for our nervous system during that at least immediate period. So trying to do too much or trying keeping up with the other kids, if there's any ability for you to rest, especially early postpartum, I would take full advantage of that.
Yes,
And
definitely.
you will speed up your recovery. Yes. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.